Hello and welcome to all of you. This time I'm not sitting on my sewing machine, but I would like to invite you to come and look with me in my kitchen. As we have something to celebrate, I have to make a cake, something for my hips, you know. One of my favorite cakes that I like to prepare for a party is the Black Forest cake. But I got my own kind of recipe on this, and therefore I cannot really call it a Black Forest cherry cake. I must just call it Lilo's Black Forest cake. That's what we're going to call it today. I'm going to show you which ingredients you will need for this cake, and I will show you how we're going to do this. So we're starting out by, I don't know if you're able in your country to buy a 3-layered black chocolate bottom for the cake, but if you can't buy one like this, you can just as well make a nice chocolate biscuit for the bottom that you need for the cake. So I'm buying this one finished here in Germany, and it tastes fantastic with how I'm going to mix this. That's the first thing you need. You need 1 glass of cherries, not sweet cherries, sour cherries. And as this is always on this big cake, usually there's only 1 glass used for this cake. But I always think there's not enough fruit on. And as I got a garden with lots and lots of red currant, which I freeze in the summer, I always like to put quite a bit of red currant in. That also makes the cake not too sweet with all the whipped cream that's coming into it as well. So that's what you need. Then you need, we call it rote Grütze. I believe you call it a red fruit jelly or a red fruit pudding for cooking. It's got to be for cooking. And you need 2 of those packets if you have something similar like that. And you know, I like to put a little bit of booze in it as well. And as they are the cherries, I like to take a cherry brandy, or there's also special called cherry water. We call it cherry water, but it's actually alcohol, it's not really water. And it's fun anyway when you got this next to you doing the cake, you know. Okay, and you need to do the whipped cream. So we have these sizes with 200 milliliters in. I take 4 or 5. It depends on how much cream I want that day on, so you can decide yourself. Depending on how many whipped creams I'm taking, that's the amount of vanilla sugar I need for this. And the same there again, I don't quite know what you call it, but I'm sure you got something when you're doing your whipped cream yourself, that you can put something inside which, while you're beating them up, which will keep the whipped cream very stiff for quite a long time. And also there, you need the same amount as you have those whipped cream bottles here. Last but not least, for some decoration, you can decorate it of course with cherries on the top, but usually that soaks in so much into the whipped cream that it only looks good for the first few hours, and you might have the next day a piece left over, which you always still want to look nice as well. And that's why I don't decorate with the cherry or with fruit. I decorate with just some chocolate rasples and some other chocolate decoration. Besides that, of course, you will need a kitchen mixing machine or a hand machine for that. You will have something like that at home to do the whipped cream. Okay, but that is all what you need, and we're going to do this cake now.
So here I got my red currant out of the freezer, and they can start melting a little bit, going soft. And I have approximately 200-250 grams of the red currant here. Now I have to take my sour cherries and have to drain the juice off first of all. And I have to have my red fruit jelly ready prepared to be used. So when the juice is all out of the cherries out, I need a measuring cup because I will need exactly half a liter of juice altogether. Now the best part, I would like to put some of my cherry brandy in, as I mentioned before. You can put more in than a little glass like that. That is up to you, depending how much taste of the cherry brandy you wish, or of the cherry water you might have with alcohol. But then you should also have a little taste of it. That's the best part of the cooking or making a cake, if you can taste your own booze a little bit. God, that tastes so good. I don't know if I would like to continue making this cake. I could just empty the bottle instead, couldn't I? All right, we better continue. Let's get serious here. That's not very nice. But I still don't have half a liter in my jar here, because usually for 2 packs of my red jelly, I would need 1 liter if you make it as a jelly kind. But so it will really go stiff later on, I will need only half of that amount of juice. That means I'm just gonna fill this now, the rest over with some water. Exactly, first of all, on half a liter. Add some cold water to it. That's correct, that's the amount I need. And I got my pan ready here on the stove, and fill most of it in. I'll leave a little bit left into this. And I take some sugar. I need 4 tablespoons, slightly big filled, as you can see here on the picture. And I put 4 sugar spoons into this. My red jelly packets I got already cut open, so I add both of them. And meanwhile, I've also got to turn the stove on already, because I would like to have the juice starting to boil up. As we got to boil this up, so it really will go stiff. Don't buy any jelly kind that has to be just stirred and goes hard. No, it has to be boiled. It's very, very important. So you fill a little bit more water in if you can see that this is too stiff, and really mix it well, so you don't have any lumps anywhere in this mixture that you're doing here, that you have prepared. And we got to wait now, when this is finished, that our juice on the stove is totally boiled. And the moment it starts boiling, I've turned the stove a little bit down already, we fill completely our mixture into this. And start stirring right away so you don't get any lumps. Keep on stirring very well until you see this is slowly going stiff, exactly as you wish, as you need it. Because later on we don't want this cake to fall to pieces. It really has to go hard. So I turn the stove down to be able to mix the rest of my mixture into this. Use all of it. Don't waste any. It's all being needed for this big cake, for this tasteful cake. And stir it very well again now, till everything is really totally evenly mixed into this. Now keep on stirring until you can see that it's really all well stirred in, and you have to bring it up again the temperature to get it to a boil for a couple of moments. It's not very long, but it's got to boil just a little bit. And then we're getting ready to put our cherries in. So just pour all the cherries in and stir them or even them out in the jelly that you got there already. Do it with a spoon to really lift them under evenly, well divided, so there is the same amount everywhere. I keep the temperature on for another moment, and then I take my red currants. They're still slightly frozen, but that doesn't matter. It only helps me to cool the jelly and everything down much, much faster. Because usually I like to continue doing the cake, and I don't like to wait for this hot jelly to cool down. but the colder it is, the better, because you're mixing it with the whipped cream or you're putting them on top of each other, and then it's not good if it's still warm. It's got to be really quite cool already. And these slightly frozen red currant really helps it that you can right away continue with the cake as they really cool this down. So stir it in very well. Keep still the temperature on very, very low for a moment until you decide, okay, that is the mixture as I wish, and it starts looking so good already for you. Then you can turn your stove off and put it on the side and let it cool down. The next step is to beat the whipped cream. I've decided after all to use 5 of my 200 milliliter jars here, because I like to have some extra whipped cream left over for the coffee later on. So that is my little extra then. So I cooled my jar down before I'm doing this, because it always is better when everything is very cool or the same temperature as the whipped cream that you're going to do. So pour the amount you wish into your mixer, and I start slowly to mix it. And now right away I take my vanilla sugar and I keep changing. I put 1 vanilla sugar in, then I take one of my stiffening the whipped cream parts, and that's the way I continue with this and let it go hard. Now I prepared already my cake dish here. I put a nice little piece of decoration underneath, and I got my first layer on there. Now I don't know if you have a cake ring here like I got. I'm putting this over my first part. Now you don't necessarily need this. That's why I didn't mention it in the beginning, because you can also do this cake without this ring, but I preferred, so it really holds it very well together in case if my jelly is still a bit warm, so it wouldn't run out. But as my ring doesn't hold so well when I put it in position, I like to put a little bit of gaffer tape on here, not gaffer tape, sorry, a little bit of my tape on to hold it really in position. Otherwise it might open up, which I don't want. I position it right in the middle because it likes to slip around a little bit. And now I take my fruit mixture and put exactly half onto this. Maybe a little bit more on the first layer because of the weight. It's an enormous amount of weight what you got here. So maybe it's better if you put a little bit more on if you got so much as I got here. And then you got to really even it out all the way around. Check again, do you want to take another spoon? Do you have enough? And then flatten it out as flat as possible. And really try to have the same amount of fruit. Otherwise your neighbor might say, oh, you gave me a piece where I don't have any cherries in. And the other one says, well, I don't have any red currant. I prefer the red currant much more than the cherries. And there goes the fight, which you don't want either. So even it out nicely. And then we put the first layer of whipped cream on. It's really got to be well and hard whipped for you, beaten up. Make sure that that is the case. As you can see here, it really holds on to my mixing parts there. So start taking it now out of the dish and really spread it evenly all over. Don't take too much at the time, because this is about 1/3 approximately what we're spreading over, as we need the other third for the second layer, and then the rest for the outside to decorate it a little bit. That's why I take it bit by bit, and there is no rush, because it's anyway so fast done, this cake. You will be surprised, really. The most work is actually doing the fruit in the beginning to boil this up like a pudding boiled up. But it's really no work whatsoever to do a full cake like that. All right, here we go. A bit more, and that should be enough for this layer. Again, I even it out. Should be slightly everywhere a bit. And now I take my second chocolate part, position it in the middle, and again I take my fruit mixture and I fill in all of it that I got left now in my pen. Make sure not to leave any of the good stuff in your pen. It's really worth putting it all on, unless you like to sneak a little bit into a different position towards your mouth. Well, of course, you got to test it, don't you? And now you can also smell a little bit the sherry brandy that's coming up. It's really, really nice, I tell you. All right, what do we need? We need the whipped cream next. Again, approximately a third of the whipped cream we're putting on this layer now. You can, of course, spread it out so it mixes slightly with the cherries and the red currant, but I usually try to keep them separate. Some you will always pull up, as you can see, unless you put the doubled or tripled amount of whipped cream on, then that doesn't happen so much. So if you need a little bit more, take another spoon and again, even it out as much as you like to do. It starts looking good already. It's something you like to have a little taste of already, because I really can tell you, try to do this cake. It is so simple to do, even if you've never done a cake like that ever in your life. Try to do it. Okay, here we go. Our third layer is got to come on the top here now. And as soon as that is on, I will take this cake, put it in my fridge now, because it should stand at least for 1 hour. If you got to do something else in between, it can also be longer, but it really got to cool through all the way now in your refrigerator. After the hour in the refrigerator, get it out, and now carefully wiggle a little bit and pull your ring off the cake off, in case if you had one on. But as I also mentioned before, you could do it so far without the ring, but then it's important to put it in the fridge, definitely for 1 hour, if not longer. And now you can see that if you do it with a ring, it's not absolutely necessary to finish the outside of the cake off. You could just do something with the top, because look at this lovely edge here now. It looks so nice. You could leave the edge like this, as this particular Black Forest look that this one have. You could only put some whipped cream or other decorations on the top, and it could be finished already like that. But I told you I got all this whipped cream, so we're going to be using it also for the sides. Just in case if you haven't done anything like that, I show you my way of finishing the sides off. First of all, I need a flat, long knife, and I'm spreading it approximately out all over the top first of all. It doesn't have to be so exact, because I don't like to make the surface so exact anyway. And now I always take a little bit from my whipped cream from the top, and I pull it from the bottom on the edge upwards. You have to continue doing that. And also there, I'm not trying to get it flat on the edge. I'm trying to get it like in little clouds and little waves on the side, because that looks better than trying to get it totally flat, because so flat you wouldn't get it anyway. Or I wouldn't anyway. Maybe you can. I'm not so clever like you are. Okay, here we go again. Now, you can always decide, it happens very, very easy when you do the sides, that you get some of the pink from your jelly, from your pudding on your knife as well. You can do this in case if you want to have some like marble kind of look on the top, then you pull a little bit of the red jelly on the top and spread it out. That is also a really, really nice look. I've done that as well once or twice before. But like that, you always just fill your knife and start on the bottom and pull the whipped cream up on the edge slowly. Don't put too much pressure on, because then the more pressure you put on, the easier you get the red jelly onto your knife, which you might not want. Yep, you got to take your time, but oh God, you're not going to regret this, honestly. I love this cake. Okay, we're getting towards the end here. I hope I didn't bore you too much, but you can always speed my videos on, no matter what I'm showing to you. Speed it up or turn the tone off if you don't like to listen to my comments. As I'm trying to fill not only the cake, I'm trying to fill my words in here, so you really know what I'm doing and what I think about this. So I put a little bit more on top because there was still a bit too much of the chocolate cake sticking out, looking through. And now I take this little tool of putting some extra decoration on the top. I do not have a very professional one. You probably got a much, much better one than me. I got this tiny baby one here. It's, of course, much better to do with a huge one, but I try my best anyway. Usually I only put chocolate bits all over it on the top, but I wanted to make it a little bit nicer for you, although I'm not the decorating person. I don't really have a good hand for that, and I've seen so many nice Black Forest cakes in YouTube that I actually feel a bit ashamed that I can't do this any better. But believe me, my cake, the way I'm doing this here, is really not about the looks. It is about the taste. And I beg you, try it once if you like sweet cakes like this one. But like I said, with the red currant inside and the amount I'm putting in, it's actually not as sweet as some cream cakes that you can buy in the shops. So as you saw, I put these little decoration whipped cream roses on. Now I'm just spreading over my dark bitter chocolate, because it also gives it takes the sweetness a little bit away from the whipped cream again. And I got some more little decoration, little bit of hearts and roses here, which I put one in each of those little roses that I decorated the pot from. So I guess I'm almost finished, but yes, I like to say I like to do this cake always the night before I have any friends or a party coming up, because it tastes if it's been standing for a full night, the taste is much more intensive. It seems to pull through, like if you do a nice stew as an example, it usually tastes the next day better than the first day you're making it. So I always do my cakes at nighttime. Then I can put this one nicely in the fridge. Then it's really cooled through well and sucked through with all the different tastes that are inside there. And that's how it is perfect. The same day, it really doesn't taste as well as if it's been in the fridge overnight. Oh, here I'm getting to the end of my decoration part. And all I will do now is, as I just mentioned, put it in the refrigerator, look at it again, see if I've done a halfway good job. Now you can see there's no pink on the sides hardly showing through, but you will see it when it's been overnight. It slightly comes through and it gives the sides a real nice extra and different look again.
And here we are, it's the next day. My Schwarzwälder tart's been overnight in the fridge. Really nicely sucked through now. The taste is really coming well through. Now I'm waiting for my guests to come, and we're going to really enjoy this cake. And as I mentioned probably before to you, I know I'm not the best person for decorating things, but believe me, this tart is not for looking at, it's for eating. And the taste, if you do it the way I told you to do it, your guests and yourself, you will just love it, and it will not be the last that you will make after you tried it.